that's really the background on self, okay? And getting really yourself right. Because fear, if you let it rule your life, you'll never really reach a level of satisfaction. But when you can understand that every fear, objection, and when you think back and take care of what's the worst case scenario, and understand that the worst case scenario, unless it's literally the worst case scenario, often the action that you're tossing up is about gaining something you want. And the worst thing is that you don't end up with that very thing that you do want and are left it no worse off. What I want to delve into is really, what is a habit? And we learnt this from Stephen Covey. This diagram is directly from Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And basically habits, from my understanding, comes from 3 main areas of psyche. Okay? The first one is knowledge. Certain habits that are part of your life are because you have been taught a certain piece of knowledge that has been passed on from generation to generation. And there are certain actions you take for the simple fact that other people have done it that way before you. Other habits that you are learning is because someone is teaching you a certain scope of knowledge about that habit. Now that habit may be absolutely incorrect at the moment because the knowledge that you've been taught is actually incorrect. And so a habit is not necessarily right or wrong, but it's the knowledge surrounding that habit that could be right or wrong. The second thing is obviously desire. There are actions we take because we have a desire to complete those actions. Some of those actions we feel like we have to, but we already said that there's no such thing as I have to. You're making those choices because there are consequences, and either those consequences have a good or bad scenario attached. And that's where the desire comes from, either making new habits or erasing old habits. There's a desire to erase old habits, then they come from the want. The last thing then obviously is skills. You need to have a certain skill set to maintain a habit, create a habit, or certainly even have skill sets to create better habits. And that's what I want to focus on tonight. I want to focus on the skill sets on how to create a better habit. So for this, and this is really what the whole night's about, is this one exercise. Okay? And it's called the 4-quadrant exercise that came taught to me by James Chestnut in his thinking module. And the 4-quadrant exercise is basically drawn up on a sheet of paper in 4 quarters. And on that sheet of paper in 4 quarters, there are 4 essential titles, but we're going to start with the first one. And that's thought about our habits. Right now, in this very second, there are scenarios in your life or habits in your life that you're either happy about or unhappy about. Or it may be that currently you're trying to achieve a certain goal, whether it is to buy a new car, it might be to achieve a certain pay rise, it might be achieve X, Y, or Z. Okay? All of us have goals. All of us have dreams. All of us have certain achievements we would like to achieve. This exercise is trying to lay more groundwork so that when you are looking at making a choice, you can do that from the unbiased perspective. Because if it's from the unbiased perspective, then no matter who walks into the room, they're going to agree that that goal is based on nothing but truth. When you can make a goal based on truth, the likelihood of succeeding that goal is already much greater. If you are not doing a goal based on truth, you're actually cheating yourself and often doing it out of a false desire. And often the goal or that habit that you're trying to create falls through quite quickly or is not a long-term thing because they're not based on good principles. So in the top right-hand quarter, it's called Thoughts About a Habit. So when you go home tonight or tomorrow or over the weekend and you sit down and look at your goals, this quadrant is all about the actual emotional thinking you have regarding that goal. Now the one I can think of at the moment would be give up smoking because that's always around us, okay? Or it might be to lose weight. They're the 2 common things that people always walk into my office with. When we talk about smoking, there are emotional attachments to smoking. There's reasons why people smoke. It's either they love the action, or they just feel like with every beer it makes them feel good, or it calms their nerves, or there's just an emotional connection to that action. Or weight loss, they eat chocolate and chocolate's so good and all that kind of stuff. With every goal though, what you really need to be doing is looking at it look deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it. So if you've got a goal that says I want to lose weight, the question then is, well, do you want to lose weight or do you want to lose 5 kilos? Do you want to lose weight or do you want to gain better health? What's the ultimate goal of that action? And so these thoughts about habits, I think often then, once you start, I find it takes almost a day for me sometimes, that I write a goal and then I start thinking about it, and then actually I realize my goal is not actually my goal, because when I start thinking about the emotional connections, there's something missing the goal. So like I want to lose weight, and I start thinking about it, well actually I don't just want to lose weight, I want to lose 5 kilos. Or, well, I want to lose weight because I find that I'm getting fat, and so, well then actually I want to lose weight because I want to be healthier, and so forth. And so this goal is constantly being reworked until you have what's called a true goal. And basically, when we get to the second quadrant, on the bottom left, it's called benefit, reward from completing a habit. So obviously when I'm thinking about losing weight, in this quadrant would be all the health benefits from an unbiased perspective. There is no one that can come up to you and disagree with what you write in this quadrant. That's what unbiased means. They are 100% truths. So that whatever it is, there's 100% truth in this quadrant. And they're always in the positive, the things that are about giving you the good. Now, if you're trying to remove a habit, the benefit here would be basically what's the good thing that comes from removing that negative habit. So smoking would be, well, if I remove smoking, then the benefit would be better lung tissue, better breathing, better, those kind of things. In the bottom right quadrant is basically the cost of not completing the habit. So if you stay exactly where you are now and do not make this goal succeed, or you do not take these actions, or you basically don't step a foot outside the door and just keep doing what you're doing, what's the real cost? Not just the superficial one, oh, if I don't lose weight, well, I'll keep the kilos on. No, what's the real cost? What's the worst case scenario cost? These cases are what's the best case scenario, real truth. These are the real truth, worst case scenario. Okay? And they need to often be blunt and really harsh because they're the truth. And I'm telling you, the more accurately and the more truthful you are in this state, and sometimes you need the help of someone else, you literally start to realize that now you have a real cost-benefit analysis. But the good thing is with this is that on the top right-hand corner, you did all the things that why you do that habit, all the things that why it makes you feel good or why you do these habits. What you can then do is you have that cost-benefit and you can weigh it up against your thoughts. And often you'll realize that the thoughts as to why you think you're doing something is completely silly because the cost is so opposing what you were thinking and the benefit is so much better than what you're thinking that ultimately you have no choice but to make a change. And that's what this habit statement is on the top left corner. We start making a habit statement, and or a goal statement. And a goal statement should always be very specific.